Today is Monday, August 12th, and we have some breaking news. Tropical Storm Ernesto has just formed in the Atlantic. But aside from that, we have a big cooldown in the northern and central latitudes of the United States. But in the southern latitudes of the United States, we have big time heat that is building. We also have multiple rounds of severe weather in Colorado, flooding is happening in the Rockies, and fire weather is still ongoing in the West. All of that and more, but our big story is Ernesto that could be deadly to the US East Coast. So this right here is a new graphic that just came out. So this is actually the first day of the National Hurricane Center issuing these graphics. So you might not see much of a difference. The only difference is that it's much easier to understand, and there's also inland warnings. If you look down at Puerto Rico, you can see the entire territory is covered in blue. With the old graphics, only the coastline would be covered in blue. So with these new graphics, there are also now inland warnings on here. But looking at Ernesto that just formed 1 minute ago, it is now a tropical storm, so it has 40-mile-per-hour winds. Those winds are not very big. It's only about like a couple miles that has the tropical storm winds. But it is expected to cross these tropical islands over here and then also Puerto Rico. But then hopefully it'll stay away from making a landfall on the East Coast or anywhere in the United States, because it looks like there should be a trough that it connects to. So that should be able to steer it away from the United States, but it might impact Bermuda as a Category 2 or maybe even a major hurricane. This is what our system is looking like right now. So as you can see, it's not very organized, doesn't look like a typical hurricane, but it is starting to organize, and after it crosses Puerto Rico, it should look like your typical hurricane. But also, you're probably wondering why I said that this storm is deadly for the East Coast, and it's actually something that you wouldn't expect. Every year, almost 100 people die from rip currents in the United States. And this system right here is no joke when it comes to rip currents. During the peak of hurricane season, so around August to October, we normally see a lot of hurricanes that form and then just go right up here. So we think it won't affect the US, but actually it does. If you are at the beach, this will affect you a lot. It means that all of the East Coast will be in a big rip current risk. So that doesn't mean that the entire ocean is going this way towards the storm. So if you ever hear that a hurricane makes landfall in, let's say, Savannah, Georgia, that doesn't mean that only Savannah, Georgia gets the impacts. Everywhere, like at least 1,000 miles from it, will see at least some impacts. And in this case, if it's staying away from the United States, that means that everything over here is feeding into it. So say our hurricane is right over here near Bermuda, there is this entire water right over here feeding into this system. So that can make these very intense little swells that go out to sea. And if you don't know what to do, these swells would just bring you out to sea, and it will make it very, very difficult to come back to the shore, and you will probably end up drowning. So you need to know what to do if you do get caught up in a rip current. Right here it tells you what to do. So say your coastline is right here, you're swimming, and then you get trapped in a rip current. You are going into the ocean. The ocean is pulling you in. Now, you might want to swim back to the shore because that's like the fastest way, right? But that's wrong because the rip current is faster than you. So these are normally just small swells. So if you go parallel to the coastline, like that way where the escape is, you should be able to escape this swell and then escape the rip current, and then you should be able to just freely swim back to the shore. So this is what to do if you are in a rip current, and remember, almost 100 people die a year from these. But back to Tropical Storm Ernesto, this is how strong Ernesto could become. The stronger this hurricane becomes, the stronger those rip currents will become. And as you can see, most models are saying this becomes a Cat 2, maybe even Cat 3, and there's one model that's showing it become a Cat 4. So currently Cat 4 is our ceiling. The highest it can go, which is still probable, is a Category 4. But then also things could happen. This storm may not even intensify to a Category 1, although that is extremely unlikely. It is extremely likely it will become a Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane, and it is not likely to become a major hurricane or stay as a tropical storm. So our range that we're looking at right here is around right over here. So this is our range for intensity. And then also, if you're on the East Coast, still don't let your guard down. We have consistently had at least one model that is an outlier from the rest, and showing this go over by the East Coast. Although it is very unlikely, so you do not need to be worried, just be aware that if this does change, it's very unlikely, but you could have another hurricane. But most of these tracks, let's just look at what most of them are saying. Most of them take it right up over here to Bermuda, and then it looks like they take it away. Maybe Newfoundland could get hit, which would not be good. But hopefully the system would be attached to a front by then, so it shouldn't be that impactful. But that is likely where our track is inside of that red. If you're on the East Coast, no worries right now at all. And remember, we are just entering peak season. Things are really starting to ramp up now at August 12th. So as you can see, our peak is the month of September. September is a big month for hurricanes, and October is also a big month. So things are just heating up. So get ready, because this is a big system, so you need to be aware. In other news, Hurricane Debby that hit last week caused a lot of tornadoes. So this is a thing that we have always seen. This has always been a thing of hurricanes, but lately we've had a lot more tornadoes come out of hurricanes than usual. This is likely because of dry air and because they've been hitting more west than usual. But as you can see, everywhere from Ohio down to North Carolina saw tornadoes. North Carolina definitely saw the worst, as they had a regional outbreak and even an EF3 near Wilson, North Carolina. An EF3 for a tropical system is insane, because most of the time you hear, oh, tropical tornadoes, those are weak, they're just short-lived. This one, 9 miles long and an EF3 that killed 2 people. So even if it is a tropical tornado, do not take it lightly. It's still a tornado. It still can destroy your house, and it still can kill you. So I actually decided to chase this day in northern North Carolina. So you see these 3 tornadoes up in this little corridor here? I was on the EF0. One thing that's a little bit funny is I've chased a lot of tornadoes before in North Carolina, but they all ended up being EF1s. So this is the first tornado that I chased that was an EF0. If we look at some photos that I took, this right here, it looks like a tornado, but trust me, it is not. This is just a rotating wall cloud. It was not making contact with the ground, but this definitely looks really mean. And this 5 minutes later actually did produce that EF0 tornado. Also right here is some damage from that EF0 tornado that I got with my drone. So as you can see, Debby caused a lot of flooding in North Carolina. Look under that tree right here. Hold up. Look under that tree. There is like a whole entire lake of water underneath that tree. So probably if this flooding didn't happen, this tornado was so weak, probably wouldn't even cause this tree to get uprooted. Obviously, the branches that are off probably would still be off because it is a tornado. It does still cause damage, but this one was luckily a weak one. And then also, you can check my shorts for the actual video of this, but here's an edited photo of what I believe was a tornado. There hasn't been any damage found from this tornado yet because it looks like it was weak as well. But this looks like a tornado to me that I captured with my drone. So be sure to check out my short to look at the full video of that drone. But now let's look at the high and low temperatures for you for the next 2 weeks. So today's almost over, but as you can see, the northern latitudes are starting to cool down in the United States. As you can see, areas like Iowa and Illinois down to the 70s. That's got to be really, really nice. Also, areas like Tennessee, North Carolina down in the 80s now, but the southern United States is still in the 100s and 90s. Now, looking at Tuesday right over here, it is much of the same. So find yourself on this map and look at your temperature. And for Wednesday, it is much of the same, except for the Great Plains are starting to heat back up into the hundreds. Even though they're in those mid-northern latitudes, they are starting to heat back up again. And temperatures remain around the same for Thursday. For Friday, it is also much of the same. The East Coast is now all in the 80s, so that is really nice. Even Miami is in 80s. And Saturday, much of the same, except for once again, the Great Plains are heating back up to the 90s. And Sunday, it's looking really nice everywhere except for Texas. Basically 80s or low 90s everywhere except for Texas. Looking at our severe risk today, we have a wind risk in the Rockies and also a hail risk in Colorado. All the green areas is where you can see some wind or hail. And then also over in the North Carolina coastal area, we have a wind risk. Looking at tomorrow, it is much of the same. You got a little bit of a wind and hail risk over there near the Rockies. And then another wind risk over there in South Carolina. This is just a marginal risk though, so these are the lowest possible risks of severe weather. And for Wednesday, much of the same, a hail and wind risk in the Great Plains. Now looking at next week, so Tuesday to Monday, so Tuesday the 20th to Monday the 26th. As you can see, it is much above average everywhere except for the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley states. As you can see, you should be getting a really nice cool down next week if you are in the Great Lakes or Ohio Valley states. Also, the West Coast could see a tiny bit of a cool down, but that is a 50-50 chance. And looking at those same days, so August 20th to August 26th, this is our precipitation outlook, a little bit below average in areas like Texas, and everywhere else, besides from the West Coast being a little bit above average, is basically a toss-up. You should see normal rain amounts. That is really all today. If you do have any questions or helpful criticism, be sure to tell me down below in the comments. But that is all. be sure to stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.